beneficiaries see them, or their constituents see them, their grantees. And there is a regular conversation inside the foundation about how you talk with your grantees, how you elicit candor, how you have a more authentic conversation. It's part of our professional practice, is what we learn. And we ground that qualitative conversation in data so that we can actually see how we're doing. Kind of scary if you're a program officer at a foundation, but it's real. At the level of implementing organizations, again, I think I'd like to see in 5 years that we've identified some really powerful predictive questions in each of the major function areas or silos. Silos is the wrong word, it has negative connotations, but the different spheres of social action, the different theories of change within education, health, and enterprise, and so on, where we know the right questions that correlate to outcomes so that we can then drive our management systems with that. Last point is this gets personal. It has to be personal. Ultimately, it lands in individual behavior and practice and organizational culture. And one of my favorite stories when I was doing my deep dive in the customer satisfaction world comes from a company called Cisco in the US, which had this famous practice, which I'd never heard of before, which is that every person at Cisco has to end every conversation they have with a customer. So, did you get what you want from this, whatever it is, meeting, call, whatever, product? And they record the answer. It's qualitative. It's not a 0 to 10 scale. They listen, and then they have to record what they're hearing, and then it gets rolled into management team discussions. Now, what I heard from people at Cisco was not so much the value of the data around that. It was how it changed the way you behaved in the interaction, because you knew you were going to be asking the question at the end, which is and this is what I mean by it gets personal. The last point, there's this amazing methodology that's been developed in the area of child counseling in the US called feedback-informed therapy, or FIT. And feedback-informed therapy is now sweeping the US. I don't know if it's gone beyond. And there's been several randomized controlled trial studies that it increases positive outcomes by 30%. And all it is as simple as this. At the beginning of every counseling session, the counselor and the young person establish some goals for the session. And then at the end of the session, they together review how well they each did against those goals. So it's a closed feedback loop right there in 50 minutes. 30% increase in impact. Now those are ideas that we can really run with in development and social change.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to thank our two panellists. And as people who come regularly to the Breakfast Club will know, we usually have 4 panellists. Our today's two have had to work very hard, as have the audience. So thank you also to the audience. So I'd just like to thank everybody. And thank you all for coming.
Wait, before we do that, I just want to recognize the occasion. I'm not going to go into a big speech because it would embarrass Caroline. But I just think we should all show our appreciation to Caroline Hartnell, the greatest editor philanthropy has ever seen. Not sure you mean that.
I do, on a personal level. Okay. I do. I like it.